Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you might be on this earth of ours. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. Welcome here to our show tonight. As we've been doing for quite some time, we're going to start this show off with the singing of the United States National Anthem. I would ask everybody now to please rise.
As the years have gone
God bless America. Thank you for that singing of the national anthem. We appreciate that so much. That was actress Mary Bilben singing the national anthem at the Republican National Convention back in August. We appreciate that rendition of the national anthem as we have in the past. We appreciate that so much. Folks, I want to start off this program with some dubious news. I call it dubious news because that's what it is. Ukraine has launched more missiles into Russia. What does that mean? We don't know. We really don't have any answers for that at all. Last Friday, I played a video for you of Russian President Vladimir Putin saying that he would attack those countries that provide missiles that Ukraine uses to attack the United States. We have to take him at his word. At this point in time, we have to take him at his word. We know for a fact what's going on over in Ukraine. Russia's going to rip Ukraine's butt. Okay? There is no possible way that Ukraine can win this war at all. Russia came in there, like I said, blazing saddles and everything else, attacking Ukraine, destroying their apartments, destroying their homes, destroying their government buildings. The United States came in there and attempted to assist Ukraine. What has happened now is a tragedy. More countries are involved in supporting Ukraine. NATO's got involved. NATO's gotten involved. And as a result, machinery from around the world has come into Ukraine. U.S. and British missiles have been launched into Ukraine as well. At this time, I only think it's U.S. missiles that were launched today. It remains to be seen what's going to happen now. But folks, we all ought to be on standby. We all ought to be on standby. Now, why do I say that? We need to protect ourselves. We really need to protect ourselves. I'm going to talk about this more later this evening. But I've told everybody in previous episodes of this program, you need an emergency preparedness kit. You need an emergency preparedness kit. You need water. You need an emergency preparedness plan. You can go back through previous episodes of this program where it talks about preparedness kits. And you can find out all kinds of information by watching those programs. When we talk about emergency preparedness planning, also in the topic of those programs, you can go back through the previous programs, and anywhere where it talks about emergency preparedness, you can go back and watch those programs. Specifically, where it talks about preparedness kits, watch those programs. Where it talks about preparedness planning, watch those programs as well. Watch it when we talk about water. When we talk about emergency preparedness kits, we also talk about water. You can't go very far without water. You can't go very long without water. Water is absolutely necessary to live. You need food. We're going to be talking more about this on Friday. However, I wanted to bring this up at the beginning of today's program because we don't know what Putin's going to do. And like I said, we're going to be talking about this a little bit later. Okay? The first thing I want to talk about is the Icelandic eruption. The eruption in Iceland is still ongoing. A huge fissure erupted in Iceland last Wednesday. The fissure was 3 kilometers long. Now the southernmost end of the fissure has been closing up. As in previous eruptions, there are now 3 craters that remain. 3 main craters where there's still lava fountaining going on. Now those people are in danger. They're not in immediate harm of the lava getting into their homes or anything like that. In fact, Grindavik is fully open, and people are returning to Grindavik via the southernmost highway. The highway between the capital of Iceland, Reykjavik, and Grindavik has been shut down because the eruption lava has crossed the highway and has closed it down. In some areas, the lava is anywhere from, I want to say, 24 to 30 meters thick. 24 to 30 meters thick. That's huge. That's huge. That's why we're talking about it tonight. Now, the Icelandic people are in the process of protecting their infrastructure. Access is being restored to Grindavik through the southernmost highway. But the eruption, like I said, is still active. Access to Grindavik has increased today. They've opened up the southernmost highway. But lava can still threaten infrastructure despite significant reduction in volcanic activity at the Sunakar crater. That's where it's at, the Sunakar crater. Lava cooling and the reinforcement of defensive walls continue. Fire departments have been called on to spray water over the hot lava to cool it down, thus slowing its spread over the landscape and slowing its spread up to the defensive walls around Grindavik, around Svartsengi power plant, and around the Blue Lagoon. The eruption is still active. I spoke to Professor Thorvaldsson at the Reykjavik Icelandic University today. While the eruption is still active, the flow of lava is proceeding westward. It's not going eastward toward Grindavik at all. It's going westward, mostly westward away from the power plant, but some of that is going towards the power plant and some of it is going towards the Blue Lagoon. Okay? But that has slowed. The lava is slowed towards the power plant and the Blue Lagoon. And like I said, the activity continues to reinforce the walls around the Svartsengi power plant to make sure the power plant will remain active, providing power and water to the citizenry of Iceland. The entire island depends on the Svartsengi power plant. Lava is still flowing beneath the surface. Lava is still flowing beneath the surface. Okay? It's going like this. We had a surface of lava here. The newer lava is now flowing underneath, raising the surface of the lava up. Okay? Now, let me reduce the size of this picture here, or pull it to the side anyway, so I can show you my mug here and speak to you about what I'm talking about here. Okay? The newer lava is flowing underneath the older lava like this. And the newer lava is raising the surface of the older lava up. Okay? The newer lava, thus, is going to try to penetrate the defense walls from underneath the older lava. They're trying to cool it all down to prevent that from happening. They're spraying water from the fire department's trucks. And water's becoming hard to come by now. Why? Because the lava basically has tried to cut off the water lines coming away from the power plant. The power plant has been supporting the lives of the people on Iceland's island, the entire country. They've had water lines going up to the major cities, actually all the cities. Hot water and cold water. Now with the lava going over the pipelines, it's been cut off before. But fortunately, the older lava has covered up the pipelines. For the most part, the newer lava has gone over the older lava. However, when that happens, heat is trapped in the older lava as well, endangering the pipelines. So now they've got another thing going where they're throwing water on top of the lava. Whether it's older lava or new lava, they're throwing water on top of it to cool it down, to slow down the flow of the lava. Lava is still flowing beneath the surface towards the defensive barriers. Okay, like I said, they're working to cool the lava down and strengthen the barriers. The strengthening of the barriers are continuing. According to the RUVs, which is the Icelandic English version of the news, Benedict Sigurdsson is at the eruption site. And he's saying that the work is going on to reinforce the barriers, and it's progressing remarkably well. Altogether, there are approximately 40 people that are involved in the reinforcement of the barrier walls, the defensive walls around the power plant and around the Blue Lagoon. He mentioned today that the thickness of the lava covering the car park at the Blue Lagoon is estimated to be between 8 to 10 meters thick. At the Blue Lagoon parking lot, 8 to 10 meters thick. That is between 24 to 30 feet thick. In other areas, it's even thicker. Okay? But the outer parking lot of the Blue Lagoon is basically destroyed. They're going to have to pull, once that lava is cooled, they're going to have to bulldoze that out and repave that parking lot to allow more and more people to park there, because it's on the outer side of the barrier wall. Okay? Now, the Blue Lagoon is scheduled to be open this coming Friday, November 29th. Olvar Ludvigsson, who is the chief of police, has stated that the access to Grindavik will be increased this afternoon, becoming similar to what it was before this eruption even started. Entry into Grindavik will be possible via the Sundstrander Highway. It's called the Surstrander Vegar, which is a highway on the south east side of Grindavik. The Grindavik Highway between Reykjavik and Grindavik remains closed near the residential areas because of the present eruption. It's closed the highway. And closures will be enforced below Reykjavik due to work being carried out at the Svartsengi area with heavy and powerful machinery moving. However, traffic through Grindavik is going to flow along the Southern Road Highway. Now, Professor Thorvaldsson said, although there's not been much difficulty from the public, there's always been occasional issues because of tourists. And tourists are still being told to stay out of the area. But because the highway from Reykjavik to Grindavik is there and it remains open, tourists are still going down there. French tourists, for example, earlier today had become lost. Yeah, the French tourists that were there got lost. They eventually were found. Okay? The tourists were poorly equipped to be there. They were lucky they got found. Now, the entire Reykjanes Peninsula is at risk of losing hot water. The entire peninsula is at risk of losing hot water. Let me take down this picture here, this slide, And I'm going to go over the USGS map and show you the Reykjanes Peninsula. I want to show you that because I believe that will help better explain where we're at with this eruption. Okay? Let me bring up the map. Let me take my mug down and take our banner down so I can help you understand what's going on. And yes, you see that good sized earthquake up off the coast of Vancouver Island. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Okay? For now, let's go over here to Iceland. Okay? Over here in the southern part of Iceland here, this is the Reykjanes Peninsula. Okay, this is the Reykjanes Peninsula here. Grindavik is this town over on the southeast side of Reykjanes Peninsula. This is Grindavik. The power plant and the Blue Lagoon that is in question, let me find it here for you here. There it is right there. Okay, I'm not able to get any closer than that. But that highway is now closed just north of the power plant and north of the Blue Lagoon. Okay? The fissure that opened up is over here, off to the east. Okay? And the lava is flowing to the west over here. Okay? That is posing the problem here. That is posing the problem. But this power plant right here is providing all the hot water, all the cold water to all of Iceland, as well as the power to the entire island there. Okay? Because of the eruption, the water supply may be in danger. The water supply may be in danger. Now, I'm going to come back to this USGS map in just a little while. I wanted to explain to you what the Reykjanes Peninsula is. The Reykjanes Peninsula is this peninsula right here. Okay? But water and electricity are supplied from that power plant. And because of this eruption, the water supply may be in danger. The water supply may be in danger. It remains to be seen what's going to happen. And we will talk about this. We're going to continue talking about this. We have no problem with that. I want to make sure everybody is aware of what's going on there. Okay? Like I said, right now they're worried about protecting Svartsengi, the power plant. And as you can see, there are a lot of heavy machinery and crews over there. Approximately 40 people here helping protect the power plant and the Blue Lagoon. Inhabitants and businesses there in the Reykjanes Peninsula are advised to prepare for the loss of hot water. Lava from the eruption is nearing critical infrastructure. Work is underway to protect it. Lava flows from the Sunnuks crater's latest eruption are nearing the infrastructure that provides hot water and cold water to all the inhabitants and businesses on the Reykjanes Peninsula. Utility agency HS Vitur is recommending the residents and businesses prepare for the loss of hot water in the area by limiting hot water usage and keeping warm air inside the buildings, warm air inside the homes and the businesses. Hot water from this power plant also heats the homes and businesses. Okay? The Civil Defense on Iceland is working on raising protective walls around the Svartsengi power plant and the Blue Lagoon. And work is well underway to start cooling the lava, and measures have been taking to slow the progress of the advance of the lava. Customers of the Blue Lagoon have been informed that the Blue Lagoon will open next Friday. Helga Arnadolder, and you need to understand what that name is. Dotter, D-O-T-T-I-R, at the end of the name, of the last name, means Arna's daughter. Her name is Arnadolder, meaning her father is Arna. She's Arnadolder. Okay? She's a CEO at the Blue Lagoon. And she said that the decision to open up the Blue Lagoon on Friday is not final, and that they will not proceed without the approval of the authorities over on the island. No, there is no sign that the eruption is stopping. The activity at the volcanic eruption remains stable from all three remaining craters. A natural hazard expert at the meteorological office says there are no signs of the eruption stopping, although it's hard to tell how long it's going to go on for. The eruption fissures that I showed you a few minutes ago that opened up on Wednesday night are still active, but the eruption is isolated to 3 craters, with the most activity occurring in the central crater. The lava flows west along the protective walls surrounding the Svartsengi power plant and the Blue Lagoon. Bovar Svensson was a national hazard expert at the Icelandic Meteorological Office, has said that the development of the eruption is similar to previous eruptions in the Sunuk's crater series. Very similar. He said that it's hard to predict whether the eruption will keep going on for a while or if it will eventually die off here. Currently, there are no signs of it stopping. Again, work is still ongoing around Svartsengi power plant. Work started yesterday to raise the protective walls around the power plant as the lava has nearly reached the top of the wall. Landsnet and HS Orca, who operate the power plant, are also working to protect 2 electricity transmission pylons, high towers at the Svartsengi power line. They're trying to make sure it doesn't get shut down and lava doesn't damage the power line. They built walls around the transmission tower itself. That's what's happening. Okay? I know a lot of people have been very concerned about what is happening over there in Iceland. I wanted to make sure I was able to show you these slides and help you try to understand what exactly is going on there. Does anybody have any information about this? Okay? This is an ongoing story. I personally believe that sometime in the next 2 weeks that the eruption may slow down. That's what happened the last time we had a fissure eruption. But it's hard to tell what's going on. Only the authorities, including Professor Thorvaldsson that I spoke to earlier today, they will keep me informed of what's going on so I can pass it along to you. Does anybody have any questions about what's going on over in Iceland? Okay. Linda Covington is asking, are people allowed to swim at the Blue Lagoon? Yes. They really are allowed to swim at the Blue Lagoon. There are 3 main pools at the Blue Lagoon. There are 3 main pools over the Blue Lagoon. And yes, people are allowed to be in the pools. Now, those pools are heated by magma way down inside the earth. It's hot water. In parts of it, when it comes to U.S. temperature systems, it's about 103 degrees Fahrenheit. That's very hot water. That's very hot water. Now, there's something else that may prevent the Blue Lagoon from opening. When weather conditions come up, there may be winds or breezes that blow the lava plumes over towards the Blue Lagoon where people are at. If that happens, they may have to shut down the Blue Lagoon or keep it shut down, because those lava plumes are blowing sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide fumes over to the Blue Lagoon where people would be at. If you remember the last eruption over there, they had a man that was working to make sure the Blue Lagoon would be able to be opened at some point in time because they had evacuated there. Now, he was not wearing his protective gear, was not wearing a mask that provided oxygen to him. And as a result, he almost died. They had to rescue him and transport him to a hospital to get treatment because the sulfur dioxide almost took him. The sulfur dioxide there and the carbon dioxide sapped the air from his lungs, and he had a hard time breathing. Okay? That might prevent the Blue Lagoon from opening, but that would be one of the only things that would prevent it, because the defensive walls are pretty high. In some cases, the defensive walls are 85 feet high. At the Smart City power plant, lava came over there and was getting near the top of the defensive walls. So the authorities there started building up the defensive walls even higher. Now they are hoping that the future eruptions will be further enough north where this won't happen again. But they are doing all they can to protect the power plant and the Blue Lagoon. The Blue Lagoon is the main source of income for Iceland. It is the main source for income in Iceland. It's a tourist draw. Okay, that's why they're doing whatever it takes to be there to stop that lava from going in there. Then coming to says, do you have to pay a fee to swim? Yes, you do. I don't know what that fee is. It's a good deal of money because, one, you have to have a place to stay, and they have a hotel at the Blue Lagoon. You have to pay a fee to stay there. You have to pay a fee to use the Blue Lagoon waters. I don't know what it is. Almost all spas require you to pay something to swim in their, what should I say, herbal water? Or the mineral water? Let's say mineral water. It's not herbal at all, it's mineral water. Okay? Linda, that's a great question. I want to thank you for that. That's a very good, very, very good question. Actually, both those questions are very, very good. And there are no dumb questions, guys. We want you to ask questions. Okay? I appreciate you all being here as well. Okay? I'm trying to give you the information you need so you know what's going on. Okay? Now, over at North Shore Salton Sea, okay, we talked about earthquakes and such happening over there in Southern California in the Imperial Valley. Over on the northeast side of the Salton Sea, there's a town called North Shore Salton Sea. Today, there's been a small earthquake swarm erupted. Okay? That blue earthquake ball right there is a 3.1 magnitude earthquake. It's a 3.1 magnitude earthquake. Now, all the other earthquakes are less than that. Okay? All the other earthquakes are 2.7, 2.5, 2.4, and also a 1.7 tremor. Okay? It's not a big deal, but there is an earthquake swarm here. Now, this does not mean there's going to be a large earthquake. I don't believe this means it's going to be a large earthquake. However, this swarm is on the San Andreas Fault. This swarm is on the San Andreas Fault. Let me bring up the map again. Okay, got the map up here. Let's zoom in here to the earthquake swarm here. Okay, again, we're talking about the Salton Sea. That red line on the east side of the Salton Sea is the San Andreas Fault. Again, I want to make sure that everybody realizes what is happening here. We are expecting a large earthquake, a much larger earthquake happening here as a result of the San Andreas Fault. Just because we have a good size, small, in this case, a small earthquake over here, does not mean that there's going to be a larger, major earthquake. It just means that there's a swarm here. It's just letting us know that the San Andreas Fault is very active. This is just 11 kilometers, about 6.5 miles southeast of North Shore Salton Sea. Okay? It's not right next to the Salton Sea at all. It's about 11 kilometers east-southeast of the Salton Sea. But again, look where it's at. It's on the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault is a main fault. We've talked about this before. Tomorrow night we're going to be talking about earthquakes here in Southern California. But because of this swarm here, I wanted to talk about this right now. Okay? I've had some telephone calls earlier today asking me about this fault and what's going on. Because there's some earthquakes going on here. This is natural. This is completely natural. This has nothing to do with people trying to do something. And that has happened before, but not in this case. Okay? Over here further to the north. This is also on the San Andreas Fault. This is the Redlands, California. These are minor tremors and microquakes. This is a 0.7. This red one here that I just highlighted is a 0.9 microquake. This just to the north on the San Andreas Fault is a 0.5. And this one further off to the east here is a 0.8. Microquakes, guys. Microquakes. Further to the northeast here, also at the Redlands. This is actually at the town of Redlands. This is a 1.4 tremor. Down here to the south here, 8 kilometers south-southeast of Redlands, is also 0.7 microquake. Okay? So yes, we have some activity here along the fault zones. Okay? And I mistakenly said that that was on the San Andreas Fault. It's not. That's on the San Jacinto Fault. That's on the San Jacinto Fault. North of the San Andreas here in Lake Arrowhead, California, in the San Bernardino Mountains, we have a 1.3 tremor here. We have a 1.8 tremor here. Right next to it, 1.6. This is a 0.7 microquake, and this is 0.5 microquake near Lake Arrowhead there. Okay? There's a lot of activity here. A lot of activity here. Further over here towards Los Angeles here, in Yorba Linda, California, where former President Richard Nixon was born, is another 1.2 tremor. This is not the same, actually, I'm sorry. This is the same place where Richard Nixon was born, and this is not the last earthquake or even the first earthquake that's happened here. We've had multiple earthquakes here. Linda Covington's asking another question. What body of water drains into the Salton Sea or just rainwater fill the lake? It's just rainwater. Okay? At one point in time, Linda, and this is a great question. At one point in time, the Colorado River flowed into the Salton Sea. They cut it off. At one point in time back in the 50s, 1950s, the Colorado River flowed into the Salton Sea. And as a result, a lot of people from all over the world and even Hollywood came out here to enjoy the waters around the Salton Sea. It was an inland sea. It really is. Okay? If you're on the southern side of the Salton Sea, you can't see the end of it. you can't see the north side of the Salton Sea. If you're on either side of the Salton Sea, you can just barely see the other side, east to west. Okay? But lengthwise, north to south, you can't see the end of it. But this is stagnant water now. Okay? You can't go swimming in the Salton Sea. Not only is it stagnant water, but it's poison. Because the Imperial Valley is such an agricultural basin where they grow a lot of food for California and all over the United States, agriculture chemicals have seeped into the water table and into the dirt and earth and stuff out there in the sand, and those chemicals have leached into the water. And it's stagnant, it stinks, and it's poisonous. There's no fish in there. There used to be fish in the Salton Sea back in the day, but now all there are dead fish carcasses. Okay, fish skeletons all around the Salton Sea. Okay. Rich Smith is asking, was the ocean ever that far up? Probably thousands upon thousands of years ago. Thousands of years ago. Let me bring this slide up here, and you can see the Gulf of California down here to the south. The waterway stretched all the way to the Salton Sea at one point in time, thousands of years ago. Okay? The Pacific Ocean probably also fed the Salton Sea. Okay? Gnarly News says Salton Sea. It's the Salton Sea. S-A-L-T-O-N-C. That's how it's pronounced. Salton Sea. S-A-L-T-O-N. Okay? But that's what's going on down there. And they don't show many earthquakes, do they? Well, guess what? Down here in the Imperial Valley, there are probably over 500 earthquakes right here in this area here. Just because the USGS isn't showing all the earthquakes doesn't mean there are no earthquakes. Every day here in the Imperial Valley, they have probably close to 500 earthquakes every day. USGS is only showing 255 earthquakes worldwide. Again, USGS is lying through their teeth. Lying through their teeth. In the Los Angeles area, there's probably 300 earthquakes in the Los Angeles area every day. But again, they're not saying anything. They don't want to say anything. They don't want to alarm people. That's why I've been telling everybody, and the scientists have been showing through videos and other presentations that the San Andreas Fault is showing signs of popping. Okay? The San Andreas Fault is showing signs of popping. And at some point in time, it's going to. Okay? We're talking about a 7.0 to a 7.5 magnitude earthquake in this area, Southern California. Southern California. It's going to happen. Most people thought it was already going to happen by now. It's been a long time since Southern California has had a major earthquake. The last one was a 7.1 just south of the Imperial Valley in what they call Guadalupe, Victoria, Mexico, along the border area of the U.S. and Mexico. Okay? But they're expecting another one. Okay? We're 14 years past the last one. And we're probably 100 years since the last major earthquake on the San Andreas Fault. And like I said, they're expecting a 7.0 to a 7.5 major earthquake to happen here. And it will happen. Linda Covington, bless your heart. Linda Covington is saying maybe the new government Department of DOGA will close down the USGS. It's possible. It's very possible. We know darn well that Elon Musk and Vivek Yamaswamy know what's going on. They're not stupid. They're not stupid at all. They could close down the USGS or at least revamp it where, number one, they're reporting earthquakes. Number two, they're doing a better job. Because right now they don't want to talk about it. They don't want anyone to believe there's any problem, but there is. And we all know it. I talk about it every week. Dan Kellman is saying maybe Trump will listen to me. Well, Elon Musk has already sent me a message saying he's relayed my concern to President Trump. I haven't heard from President Trump personally, but I've heard from Elon Musk. So we'll see what happens. I am hopeful. I'm very hopeful that something will happen here. Okay? I appreciate your support, guys. I really do. Richard Smith, I appreciate you speaking about the earthquakes that are happening. Okay? I really do appreciate it. There's a lot of earthquakes happening worldwide. Richard, a few moments ago, talked about a 2.9, 3.0 earthquake in Greece. Greece is having earthquakes all the time. There are about 23 earthquakes over in Greece right now. 23 earthquakes. And USGS is not showing any of them. Okay? Let's go over here. I'll show you. There's Greece right there. There are 23 earthquakes here, and USGS is not showing not one of them. Not one of them. Okay? Let's go over here to Eastern Turkey here. Right here. This is the 4.4 earthquake over in Eastern Turkey. The border area with Syria. A 4.4 magnitude earthquake. Now, USGS is calling them light earthquakes. They're not light at all. These are moderate earthquakes. They do moderate damage. Okay? This is not the only earthquake here. There are 60 other earthquakes here in the Eastern Turkey area. 60 earthquakes. And USGS shows one. One. Incredible what they get away with. It's incredible what they get away with. Okay? And there's earthquakes all around Turkey, to the north and to the south and to the west. Okay? Over here in good old Italy, there are 28 earthquakes over here in central Italy. Southern Italy has a handful of earthquakes. Okay? But central Italy, there's quite a few earthquakes. We're still expecting a much larger earthquake, a 5.0, probably 5.0, 5.5, to happen either in central Italy or in the waterway just north of there. Okay? That's what they're expecting. The earthquakes in Romania. Earthquakes over in the Czech Republic. Earthquakes over here in France today. In the Alps here. Northern Italy and the Alps of Italy, Germany, and Switzerland. Earthquakes here. Why is USGS not showing them? Over here in the border area between France and Spain, we have 2 earthquakes here. Over here in Spain, we have another handful of earthquakes here. Why are we not being shown these earthquakes? Inquiring minds want to know. Just south of Portugal and south of Spain here in the Azore Islands, we have also another handful of earthquakes. Down here in the Canary Islands, we have a few earthquakes down here. Why are we not being told about them? We want to know, don't we? I know everybody does. But they're not talking about it. They're not talking about it. They're showing 3 earthquakes in South America. Something's wrong with this question, with this picture. just south of northern Chile. At the border area of Argentina and Chile here, we have another 4.4 moderate earthquake. This is, like I said, at the border area between Chile and Argentina. This is 71 kilometers west-northwest of San Antonio de los Cobres, Argentina. 71 kilometers west-northwest of San Antonio de los Cobres, Argentina, over here in the Andes Mountains. That's normal. But guess what? There are another 18 earthquakes over here in Chile. And they're showing one other one here. This one is just off the coast of Aveyah, Chile. This is a 4.1 moderate earthquake. There's another 3 or 4 4.0, 4.5 earthquakes here that they're not showing. There's some small 3.0, 3.9. There's some minor 2.0, 2.9, and there's a bunch of tremors here. Why are they not showing it? Why not? A couple of earthquakes over here in Peru, why are they not showing those? Okay? Over here in Colombia. This is Jordan, Colombia, just north of Santander, Colombia. This is a 4.6 earthquake. Just south in Santander, Colombia, there's 2.6 and 2.7 earthquakes here. Why are they not showing them? There's another 8 earthquakes over here in Central America. They're not showing one of them. None. None. Off the coast of southern Mexico. And this is actually closer to Guatemala. This is a 4.7 earthquake. A 4.7 earthquake over here on the Cocos Plate. The Cocos Plate is a tectonic plate here. The tectonic plate over here in Central America. Okay? A 4.7 earthquake. Over here in southern Mexico, there's about 26 earthquakes here in southern Mexico. Why are we not being told about them? These earthquakes in southern Mexico go into southern California. They work their way into southern California. Now, let's go over here into the Pacific Ocean. Okay? Before we get into Tonga and Fiji and such, I want to come over here in the southern Pacific. Right down here in the middle of the southern Pacific Ocean. All of the earthquakes around the world originate from this area. All of the earthquakes around the world originate from this area. There's also a deep magma plume down here coming from the center of the earth. That magma plume supplies magma to all the volcanoes around the world. Okay? Over here in New Zealand, there's, I think, 17 earthquakes the last time I looked here earlier today. 17 earthquakes here in New Zealand. We're still not being told by USGS where they're at. I have to go over the EMSC map to look. We have 2 earthquakes in the southern part, South Island here, and over here at the North Island, it's called Raoul Island. This is where the majority of those earthquakes are. And just north of the North Island over here in the Bay of Plenty. Okay? Also, there are earthquakes further north from New Zealand over here in the Kermadec Islands. The Kermadec Islands are uninhabited islands. Uninhabited islands that belong to New Zealand. The only inhabitants are birds. It's a bird sanctuary. Okay? There are earthquakes and have been earthquakes here in the Kermadec Islands. Going north, this is an earthquake 108 kilometers southwest of Ohuna, Tonga. This is a 4.7 moderate earthquake, 164 kilometers deep, still a fairly shallow earthquake. Go further north and west here. This is 220 kilometers northeast of Labuka, Fiji. Okay? Another 4.6 earthquake. However, this is a fairly deep earthquake. 546 kilometers deep. A 4.6 earthquake. Now, we've been told, and I've mentioned this on this program before, deep earthquakes propagate larger, shallower quakes. Deep earthquakes propagate larger, shallow earthquakes. This particular earthquake is going to propagate. Okay? It's going to propagate a 5.3 to a 5.4 large earthquake. A 5.3 to a 5.4 large earthquake. That earthquake could go north into other parts of Fiji, or at what they call Los Fortuna up here to the north. It could go over here to Tonga or over to Samoa. However, it could also go down into New Zealand. It could go over here into the Loyalty Islands. That 5.3 to 5.4 earthquake could migrate down here into the Loyalty Islands. It could also go over here into Vanuatu, in the Vanuatu, or the Solomon Islands, or further over here to the west into Papua New Guinea. Okay? But that 5.3, 5-point earthquake that's going to propagate from this earthquake will probably happen sometime within the next 72 hours to 10 days. 3 to 10 days. We'll be watching this week to see what happens. Okay? Further to the northeast here, this is Samoa. This is 136 kilometers south-southwest of Samoa. This is a 4.8 earthquake, 85 kilometers deep. Still fairly shallow earthquake here. Okay? We go over here into Papua New Guinea. This is a 4.4 earthquake, still a fairly shallow earthquake, 59 kilometers deep. Yes, there are other earthquakes here, but USGS refused to tell us about it. That's their bad. There are smaller earthquakes, minor earthquakes, over here in Australia. Again, we're not being told about it. Look here in Indonesia. USBS is not showing any earthquakes here, which is a fallacy. It's a fallacy. Folks, if someone isn't telling the truth, or they're not giving us the full truth, what is it called? What is it called when somebody doesn't tell us the full truth, or they omit something? It's an omission, isn't it? USGS not telling us about it means that they are lying to the public. They are lying to the public. And that's what's going on here. Okay? There's plenty of earthquakes to talk about over here in Indonesia. I counted 16 earthquakes earlier here in Indonesia. Over here in Sumatra. Over here near Java, Indonesia. Further over here in the southeastern Indonesia here. Okay? Up here to the north here in central Indonesia. Now they are showing this earthquake here. This is near Sarangani, Philippines. Okay? Southeast of Sarangani, Philippines. This is a 4.5 moderate earthquake. This is 78 kilometers deep. But again, they're still not showing us earthquakes here in the Philippines either. There are 6 earthquakes here in the Philippines. 6 earthquakes here in the Philippines. Why are they not telling us about it? Okay? I don't get it. This earthquake south of Japan here, between Japan and what's it called? My mind just went blank. Anyway, this earthquake down here is a 5.1 large earthquake. The islands between Taiwan here to the south and Japan to the north belong to Japan. This is a large 5.1 earthquake, 80 kilometers southeast of Kasuren, Habaru, Japan. A large 4 or 5.1 earthquake. Now, nobody was out here anywhere near that quake. As a result, nobody even felt that earthquake. The waters of the Pacific Ocean absorbed the shock waves from this quake. Nobody felt it. Going north over here, this is in the Izu Islands that also belong to Japan, southeast of Japan. This is also a 5.2 earthquake here. A 5.2 earthquake. Over here, I believe this is near the island of Kyushu, Japan. This is a 4.4 moderate earthquake. This is 339 kilometers deep. This is a semi-moderately deep earthquake. A moderately deep earthquake. 4.4 earthquake here. Now, this is off the coast of Japan. Nobody felt this earthquake either. The ocean waters absorbed the shock waves of this quake. There are other earthquakes here in Japan. I want everybody to realize that. There are other earthquakes here in Japan, but again, USGS is not going to talk about it. What a joke. What a joke. As you can see, this is the Kamchatka Peninsula. USGS is not showing any earthquakes here, but there are some small minor earthquakes here. Now, the earthquakes coming from the south are going to migrate up here along this fault line over to the Kamchatka Peninsula. Okay? Then those earthquakes are going to migrate through the Aleutian Island zone here all the way into Alaska. Now, we have probably 60 earthquakes here in Alaska today. Minor earthquakes and tremors. Minor earthquakes and tremors. However, over here in the Gulf of Alaska, we have a huge lockup of earthquake activity here. Okay? It's holed up here. It's holed up here. We've had multiple 5s here, large earthquakes. We've had multiple 6s here, and even a large earthquake, a 7, major earthquake here, a 7. That energy is locked up here in the Gulf of Alaska. At some point in time, it's going to pop. At some point in time, it's going to pop. Alaska is going to have a major earthquake. Alaska will have a major earthquake. Other energy is going to go south into British Columbia, Canada, and into Washington, Oregon, and California. It's going to move south here. Okay? One earthquake I want to tell you about near a volcano up here, near or in the northwestern part of Alaska. This is near Chugnik, Alaska. This is a 2.3 earthquake near Chugnik Volcano. Okay? That's what's happening here. Now I'm going to zoom in here. Okay? This is where Anchorage, Alaska is. There's one earthquake just north of Anchorage. This is a 1.0 tremor. 1.0 tremor, 5 kilometers west-northwest of Eagle River, Alaska. Okay? There's nothing major happening or anywhere close to it happening near Anchorage or any of the other major cities here in Alaska. Okay? We have some activity over here in Denali, Alaska. North of Mount McKinley. North of Mount McKinley. This is a 2.2 earthquake. USGS still cannot get the locations of these earthquakes right. They're saying this earthquake is 70 kilometers north of Petersville, Alaska. This earthquake is nowhere near Petersville, Alaska. This is north of Mount McKinley, Alaska, Denali, Alaska. Denali National Park. This earthquake is on the slopes of Mount McKinley here. A 1.4 tremor. This is a 1.2 tremor here. Over here just outside Denali here. This is a 1.5 tremor. USGS is saying this is 4.6, or excuse me, not 4.6. This is a 1.5 tremor, 46 kilometers southeast of Denali. It's not southeast. This is northwest of Denali National Park. Northwest of Denali National Park. USGS cannot tell the truth at all. I'm beginning to wonder whether USGS can even tell the truth at all. This is a 1.5 tremor here. 41 kilometers southeast of Denali, Alaska. Again, it's not southeast. This is northwest of Denali National Park. This earthquake is a 2.7. Minor earthquake. Again, they're saying it's southeast of Denali. It's not. It's northwest of Denali National Park. 2.7 earthquake. Just north of there, a 1.5 tremor. Okay? Again, this is northwest of Denali. It's not southeast. USGS is caught lying again. They've been caught lying again. They do this all the time. This earthquake here is a 2.0 earthquake. They're saying this is west-southwest of Denali. It's not. It's north-northwest of Denali. This is what I've been talking about for a very long time. These earthquakes up here to the north. These are as a result, these are aftershocks as a result of a 5.1 earthquake that happened right here. Minto, Alaska, about a year ago. A 5.1 earthquake happened here. Here we have a 1.2. This is a 1.1 here. This is a 1.0 near south of Van Horn, Alaska here. Further north here, Rampart, Alaska, 1.4. And this is a 1.5 here. Okay? We have no earthquakes north of the Arctic Circle here. We have no earthquakes north of the Arctic Circle here. There is one earthquake down here in southeastern Alaska here. Okay? This is a minus, they say this is a minus 0.8 microquake here. They say this is west of Sitka, Alaska. Interesting. It actually happens to be at the volcano. This is not west of Sitka, Alaska. This is at Sitka Volcano. Sitka Volcano, I should say. This is a minus 0.8, meaning above sea level. However, this is 5 kilometers deep. It's not above sea level at all. It's down inside the volcano. This is a minus 0.6, allegedly below sea level. I mean above sea level, but this is also below sea level, 5.6 kilometers deep, which is basically 2.5 miles deep. Okay? As you can see, there's a swarm here. There's a good-sized swarm here. This allegedly is also minus 0.3. This is a minus 1.0 here, tremor. Over here on the southeast side of Sitka Volcano, this is a 1.2 tremor. This is the minus 0.8, but it's not. This is 11.5 kilometers deep. 11.5 kilometers deep. This is a 0.8 microquake here. Again, it's above sea level here. Okay, or allegedly above sea level, it's not. This is actually 3.5 miles deep. This also is 4 miles deep here. This is a minor microquake here. 0.8 microquake here near Sitka Volcano. Again, they can't get their act straight. They can't give us good locations where these earthquakes are happening. Down here, this is on the Juan de Fuca Fault. It's on the Juan de Fuca Fault. It's west of Seattle. Okay? It's southwest of Tofino, Canada, but it's west of Seattle, Canada. Or Seattle, Washington, I should say. Sorry about that. This is a 4.6 earthquake. This is 10 kilometers deep or 6.2 miles deep. Okay? It's out here on the Juan de Fuca Fault. This is the same location where we are expecting to have a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. A 9.0, 10.0 earthquake here. This is going to be the originating location of the Cascadia megathrust earthquake. Right here. Down south here. Folks, this is also part of the Cascadia subduction zone area. Okay? It's part of the Cascadia subduction zone area. This is a 2.7 earthquake here. 2.7 earthquake. Further west here on the San Andreas Fault. This is a 2.0 earthquake here. This is where the San Andreas Fault meets and goes all the way down through California here. The San Andreas Fault meets up with the Cascadia subduction zone at what they call the Triple Junction. The Triple Junction. All three faults meet here. This is east of the Triple Junction on the San Andreas Fault. Again, a 2.0 minor earthquake here. Okay? Then you can see other earthquakes as they go through here, not necessarily on the San Andreas. These earthquakes here have nothing to do with San Andreas. This, folks, is a completely different system. What is here? This is the geysers area. The geysers. This is a geothermal facility here. A geothermal facility where men have drilled into the Clear Lake volcano here. This is the Clear Lake volcano. Men have drilled into the Clear Lake volcano to harvest steam to power turbines over here in the geysers facility. Every time seismic energy finds one of these drill holes, it fractures the rock in the drill holes, causing earth movement. And that's what we have here. A lot of earth movement here. Most of these earthquakes are all tremors, but some of them are 2.0 earthquakes. 2.0. This is a 1.1 tremor here. This red one that just happened is a 1.0 tremor here. Okay? Now, I want to show you something. What is this? This is a bank of turbines here. There are 9 turbines here in this bank here. There are a total of 81 turbines all throughout the geysers area. Again, there are drill holes where men have drilled into the Clear Lake volcano to bring steam to these turbines. That's what they're doing here, generating electricity here. There are 4 energy conglomerates that take electricity from the geysers. Pacific Gas and Electric is one of them. Another one is Rocky Mountain Power that provides power to the state of Utah. Interesting. But every one of these earthquakes here in the geysers facility is a result of men drilling into the upper magma chambers of the Clear Lake volcano. Okay? This is a 2.0 earthquake here. This is a 1.5 earthquake here, tremor. This is a 1.7 here. Typically, we see 25 to 30 earthquakes here every day. 25 to 30 earthquakes here every day, without fail. Seismic energy finds these drill points, just like it does at the oil fields, and it causes the rocks to completely come apart, causing Earth movement. That's what's going on here. Richard Smith is telling us about another 2.3 minor earthquake in Southern California. 1 kilometer deep, half-mile deep. That's on the fault. That would be on the fault. Over here in San Francisco Bay, you can see the San Andreas Fault going down the west side of San Francisco Bay. Over here on the east side, this is Kensington, California. This is a 2.4 earthquake here. Guess what? It's on a different fault line. It's on a very different fault line. This is the Hayward Fault. This is the Hayward Fault here. Okay? This is the same fault line that was responsible for the 6.5 earthquake here in 1987. 1987. Very large, dangerous earthquake. It collapsed the San Francisco Bay Bridge, caused fires, gas pipes all over San Francisco Bay broke, natural gas pipelines broke, water pipes broke, making it hard for San Francisco Fire to fight the fires. Major earthquake back in 1987. Unreal. We have one earthquake down here to the south, Morgan Hill, California. This is just northeast of Monterey Bay. That is a 1.0 tremor. South of Monterey Bay right here. This is not on the San Andreas Fault. This is on the Oceana Fault. This is a 1.2 tremor near Point Sur, California. Further south here on the San Andreas. This is a 1.8 in the Pinnacles, a tremor in the Pinnacles. The Pinnacles is right here in the San Andreas Fault, but there's also oil and gas pumping operations here in the Pinnacles area here along the San Andreas Fault. Right here, this is San Lucas, California. A 2.8 minor earthquake here. Going down here further south here. Okay. This is Loma, I believe it's the Loma Head Fault here. Loma Head Fault. It is. This is near Vandenberg Air Force Base. This is Vandenberg Village here. Vandenberg Village here. This is a 1.5 tremor here. Okay? Down here on the north side of LA. This is Ojai, California. Okay? Another 1.4 tremor here. North of there on the San Andreas, Fraser Park, California. This is on the southern side of another fault zone. It wasn't even known until we had a 7.1 over in Ridgecrest, California. Okay? This is a 1.2 tremor here. Okay? As you can see, we've already talked about some of these earthquakes earlier today. Now, I'm not going to talk about Southern California anymore today. I want to move over here, and you can see some earthquakes happening here in southwestern Texas. This is normal. This is normal. These are oil and gas operational earthquakes. Oil and gas earthquakes happening in oil and gas fields here. Okay? Oil and gas earthquakes happening in oil and gas fields here. This is a 2.0 here. This is a 2.0 here. This is a 1.6 near Mentone, Texas. This is Toya, Texas, a 1.7 tremor here. Okay? This is normal. That's very normal. There's a microquake here. Actually, it's not a microquake, it's a 1.0 tremor. This is Stanton, Texas. This 1.0 tremor is as a result of a 5.1 earthquake here several months ago. an aftershock of the 5.1 earthquake here near Stanton, Texas, about 6 months ago. Okay? I want to go over here to the New Madrid Fault. USGS is saying that this is near Blytheville, Arkansas. 3 kilometers, approximately 1.5 miles west-southwest of Blytheville, Arkansas. This is a 2.1 earthquake. Northeastern Arkansas. Northeastern Arkansas. Let's take a look at earthquakes here in and around the New Madrid Fault. And I'm also going to show you earthquakes over here on the East Coast. However, before I do that, one more earthquake over here in southern Ohio. This is a 1.8 tremor. 1.8 tremor. This is on the eastern side of the East Continental Divide. The United States East Continental Divide. You can see the Continental Divide here. Okay? This is on the eastern side of the Continental Divide. This is a 1.8 tremor here. Does anyone have any questions about anything we talked about so far? I don't want to get out ahead of you all if you have questions. Berlinda Mustafa says, we're in southern Ohio. This is near Columbiana, Ohio. Okay? It's approximately 2.5 miles north-northeast of Columbiana, Ohio. Okay? Thank you for that question. I appreciate it, Berlinda. Thank you so much. Any other questions here? Richard Smith says the ground is twisting. It certainly is. Berlinda, you have a daughter there. Wow. That's wild. Fortunately enough, this is just a tremor. Just a tremor. It's not likely to go anywhere, and I'm going to explain why in a few minutes. Okay? But we're going to be talking about the New Madrid Fault, where you see this earthquake over here in Blytheville, Arkansas. There's a lot of other earthquakes here as well. Okay? Let's show the earthquakes. Let's show the earthquakes. Let's first start here on the New Madrid Fault. This is near Little River, Arkansas here. Look at all the quakes. Look at all the quakes here. Okay? Most of these are just minor tremors and microquakes here. However, and this is a big however, this was this morning. This earthquake happened here this morning. Okay? Let me enlarge this so you can properly see where it's at and why. Okay? This happened at 9:24. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It happened at 9:29 a.m. this morning. A 3.0 small earthquake here at 9:29 this morning. Okay? Look at all the tremors it took. All morning long there were tremors. All morning long there were tremors. The seismogram I'm showing you here started at midnight this morning. Okay? Down here at 9:29 a.m. this morning we had a 3.0 small earthquake. Again, where is USGS when we need them? They're not even showing you this earthquake. 3.0. That's a lot larger than that 2 over in Blytheville, Arkansas, huh? Little River, Arkansas, 3.0 small earthquake. Why is USGS ignoring this earthquake? It was larger than the one in Blytheville. Okay? This is what I'm saying. USGS does not want to admit what's going on. Now this afternoon things were a lot quieter here in Little River. All we had here were tremors and a couple, well actually nothing but tremors here. There were no minor earthquakes at all here this afternoon. Okay? All this is tremors here. Now, while I'm here, I'm going to take you to Mark Tree, Arkansas. What have we seen here in Mark Tree, Arkansas before? June Love says she's about 30 minutes from there, didn't feel a thing. Small earthquakes you might not feel, but, or that 3.0 you might not feel, but a 3.2, 3.5 you might. You might feel a little gyration under your feet, or you might feel the bed moving. Or you might see your furniture crawling across the floor. Crawling, that's all it would do. Okay? Yes, that was a very small earthquake. 3.0, 3.9 are considered small earthquakes. Anything above a 3.5 you're going to feel, though. Anything above a 3.5 you're going to feel. Let's look at Mark Tree, Arkansas. This is a little bit different, okay? This is what we see every day. These are the kind of earthquakes that are here in Mark Tree, Arkansas every day. Okay? Every day. We see tremors. We see small and minor earthquakes. What we're seeing here is not unusual. It's every day. An everyday occurrence. Look at these earthquakes at the top. Okay? This one over that's in the black line here at the top. It starts off with nothing but tremors over here on the left-hand side. And then as you can see, it begins to be larger. It starts off with 2.0 earthquakes. It grows to be a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. I don't think it was any larger than that. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. Then that earthquake continues over here on the left-hand side on the red line here. Okay? All this here from the largest point here, okay? From the largest earthquake here, all the way out here to the right, including down here on the red here, which is 1215 on the left-hand side here. This is called a secondary wave. It's called a secondary wave. The secondary wave lasts a full 3 minutes. The primary wave is the largest earthquake that you see here. The secondary wave is out to the right. The secondary wave lasted about 3 minutes. This tells me that this earthquake may have been larger than they're showing here. It may have been larger than they're showing here. Okay? This may have been maybe as much as a 3.2 small earthquake. 3.2 small earthquake. We come down here to the blue line. On the left-hand side of the blue line here, this is 12:30 this morning. We come over 3 minutes. All of a sudden, we're starting another earthquake sequence. It starts with tremors. Then within a minute and a half later, we see 2.0 earthquake. Then a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. Then all of a sudden, for about 2 minutes, we have 3.0 earthquakes. 3.0 earthquakes. The tall lines you see here are 3.0 small earthquakes. The earthquake sequence lasted a total of maybe a minute and a half of 3.0 earthquakes. The total sequence was over 3 minutes. Okay? Then, once the primary wave stopped, then we have a secondary wave. That secondary wave lasted 1, 2, 3.5 minutes. All this means, you see where they chopped off the top and the bottom of this quake sequence? They chopped it off. That means this earthquake was larger than they're saying it is. Anytime you see the agency topping off the bottom and the top of the sequence, it means the earthquake was larger. This may have been a 3.5 small earthquake. And anybody here in Mark Tree would have felt this earthquake. Okay? Unreal. Literally unreal. Then the next largest here was after I want to say 142 this morning. 142 over here on the right-hand side this morning. Again, we're seeing here at least a 3.2, 3.3 earthquake. And again, they're not showing us the top and they're not showing us the bottom of it. They chopped it off. This probably was at least a 3.5 earthquake. At least a 3.5 earthquake. Why do I say that? After the primary waves finished a minute and a half later, then the secondary wave began. The secondary wave completed over here on the far right here on the blue line. Okay? It completed over here and then it reached down here on the green line to the left. The green line here is 1:45 a.m. The secondary wave lasts another 3 minutes. So the entire secondary wave lasted a total of 4 minutes, which tells me this earthquake is probably at least a 3.5 to 4.0 earthquake. A 3.5 to 4.0 earthquake. Now the next earthquake sequence we see, we just have a lot of tremors and a lot of tremors and minor earthquakes. Okay, this sequence here, after 2:30 this morning, lasts about 4 minutes. But nothing but minor earthquakes here. Nothing but minor earthquakes. At the beginning and the end, all we had were tremors. Okay? Then you see more earthquakes here. Okay? After 5:45 on the green line down here on the left-hand side. Okay? We see tremors. 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes of tremors. The tremors build up. Then we have a 2.0 earthquake. 2.0 earthquake for almost a minute later. Then we have our first 3.3 earthquake. 3.3 earthquake. It calms down for a few minutes. We have some other like 2.8, 2.9, and then we have another 3.0 earthquake at least. At least. Then after the primary waves settle down here, again, this is after 5:45 this morning. Okay? Let's see here. 1, 2, 3. The tremors started increasing at 3:48 or 5:48 this morning. The primary wave hit 2 minutes later, 2.5 minutes later. The secondary wave is out here. Let me look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Say 6.5 minutes after the earthquake started. Then we have the secondary wave. The secondary wave lasts 1 minute, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. Okay? Probably a 3.3 earthquake there. But we're not done here. The blue line after 7 a.m. Look over here on the left-hand side. It says 0700, doesn't it? 0700. That's 7 a.m. this morning. This blue line here is 7:30 over on the left-hand side. 7:02, the seismic energy starts with tremors, good-sized tremors. About 2 minutes in, all of a sudden we have a 2.0 earthquake. Then it gets into the main part of the earthquake. This earthquake basically lasted 2.5 minutes, the primary wave. Notice here that the primary wave was cut off on the top and the bottom. They're hiding the earthquake. They're hiding the earthquake. This earthquake sequence was probably at least a 3.3, 3.5 earthquake here. Okay? Now, we don't have that much of any secondary wave here. The primary wave hit and basically died off. Okay? Probably a 3.3, 3.5 earthquake. Okay? Then we come down here to 9 o'clock in the morning on the black line. All we have are just minor tremors. Minor tremors until we get out here to 10 minutes after 9. Then again, we have a 3.0 small earthquake. 9:10 a.m. this morning. It doesn't last very long, but the secondary wave lasts a full minute. Then it dies off the tremors, and then it starts up again. Starts off with a bunch of tremors, good-sized tremors, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8 tremors. Then we come over here to 9:15 on the red line on the left-hand side. The tremors continue, don't they? These get to be pretty powerful tremors, 1.8, 1.9 tremors. Then that dies off. Then we get to a large earthquake here. Okay? 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. 9:17 a.m. this morning, we have a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. Okay? Then, at 11 a.m. on the left-hand side, all we have is minor tremors here. We come all the way over here to the right. 11:14 a.m. 3.0, 3.1 earthquake. 3.0, 3.1 earthquake at 11:14 a.m. this morning. Marked Tree, Arkansas. This is normal. This happens every day here at Marked Tree, Arkansas. Every day. But the USGS will never show it to you. I've never seen USGS show an earthquake here at Marked Tree, Arkansas, ever. I've been doing this now over 5 years. 5.5 years I've been talking about earthquakes here on the New Madrid Fault. When I first started talking about earthquakes here, all we had was microquakes and minor tremors. Microquakes and minor tremors. I'm talking about 0.1 to 0.9 microquakes. Tremors 1.1 to 1.9. For years this happened there. Years. We did not have any substantial quakes whatsoever till 2.5 years ago. Then all of a sudden, 2.5 years ago, we started getting 2.0, 2.9 earthquakes, minor earthquakes. Then all of a sudden last year, 4 years into the study, all of a sudden we get 3.0 earthquakes. So it took 4 years. 4 years to get 3.0 earthquakes. It needs to be said. We've also had moderate earthquakes. We've had 4.0 to 4.5 earthquakes here. 4.0, 4.5 moderate earthquakes here. Not necessarily at Marked Tree, Arkansas, but on the New Madrid Fault. What does this mean? If we process all of this out, not just at Marked Tree, but around the entire fault line, and yes, I'm going to show you a lot of earthquakes up and down the fault to the north and the south. If we populate this out, I believe we are looking to have another major earthquake on the New Madrid Fault sometime within the next 2 years. Given what we're seeing now, I believe we're going to see a major earthquake here on the New Madrid Fault sometime within the next 2 years. 2 years, guys. Now, why am I saying that? Why am I saying that? Judging by what we've already seen during the past 4.5 to 5 years, it's taken this long to get these size earthquakes. It's increasing. Seismic activity is increasing substantially. Okay? It's increasing substantially. Okay? Does anyone have any questions about anything I'm saying so far? Fire Sword says, please pray for NCWQ. She's not well. Yes, we will pray for her, and I will call her after this program is over. And then I will let you guys know. Yes, Becky sometimes has had the flu and the cold and stuff like that. And yes, her kids and grandchild have been sick too. So she might be down with that, but we'll check. She's a dear sister. We love her very much. All of us love her very much. She's a good lady. Does anybody have any questions about so far what we said here? This is on the center of the pneumatic fault, guys. This is in the center of the pneumatic fault. This is Arkansas. Dee McCammon says she was here earlier. Well, that's good. I didn't see her. Of course, I'm trying to give you all this information, so I'm not always watching the chat. Okay? Now, this afternoon, things settled down here in Martree, Arkansas. We only had 4 small earthquakes here this afternoon. One was after 12:20 this afternoon. 12:20 this afternoon was like a 3.5 earthquake. 2 more earthquakes after 12:48, 3.0 earthquake. And then at approximately 12:51 p.m. this afternoon. The next one happened at 2:16 this afternoon. Another 3.0 earthquake here. Okay? Like I said, this is normal. This is all normal here at Martree, Arkansas. Now, I'm going to show you where most of the other earthquakes are. Okay? I want to drop down south of Martree to Truman, Arkansas. Truman, Arkansas, usually we see a lot more earthquakes than this. Even small earthquakes. But all we're seeing here are tremors and minor earthquakes. Tremors and long-duration minor earthquakes. Okay? It gets up to about 2.2, 2.3, and then dwindles out again. Okay? Tremors and minor earthquakes here literally all day long here. Okay? This is Truman, Arkansas. Let me show you Truman, Arkansas this afternoon. This turns out to be nothing more than tremors. Minor tremors here. Truman, Arkansas this afternoon. I want to drop further south to Tyrons, Arkansas. Tyrons, Arkansas, we used to see nothing more than minor earthquakes here. Nothing more than minor earthquakes and tremors. Now we're seeing full-blown earthquakes. Okay? Up here on near the top left-hand side here. This is 3:31 this morning. This is a 3.0 earthquake. 3:31 this morning, 3.0 earthquake. After that, we didn't have anything but tremors and minor earthquakes until approximately 7:46 this morning. 7:46 this morning on the green line. Again, another 3.0 earthquake. Then the next earthquake happened here on the black line here. Okay? Now we're talking about 8 a.m. this morning. Another 3.0 earthquake. 9 a.m. happens over on the left-hand side. We come over here to 9:11 a.m. Another 2.9, 3.0 earthquake on the black line. Over to the left, to the right-hand side, we have a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. Then the next largest earthquake happens after 9:40 a.m. this morning on the blue line in the center bottom here. Okay? It appears to be this is a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. Okay? Then after 11:04 this morning, another 2.8, 2.9 earthquake on the black line here. 11:04 a.m. this morning, a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. Then we come down here on the red line. Okay? This is approximately about 11:25 this morning. A 3.0 earthquake here at Tyrons, Arkansas. Okay? This is normal. This is normal. But remember, this was nothing 4 years ago. Microquakes and tremors. It's built up, hasn't it? This afternoon in Tyrons, Arkansas, on the black line. 12:06 p.m. this afternoon. Another 3.0 earthquake. Another 3.0 earthquake at 12:50, I want to say 12:51 p.m. this afternoon on the green line. On the red line, beneath that, this is 1:20, about 1:20 p.m. this afternoon. Okay? And you can see these other earthquakes here. 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes. And minor earthquakes too, 2.0, 2.3. Tyrons, Arkansas. Again, this used to be tremors and minor earthquakes. Nothing more. This is evolution happening here on the Pneumatic Fault. Let's go north to Stronghurst, Illinois. Look at this. Stronghurst, Illinois. All we had here, almost all morning long, were microquakes. Microquakes until about 8 a.m. this morning. Then those microquakes turn into minor tremors. Pretty soon those minor tremors went away to microquakes again. Until 11:26 a.m. this morning. 3.0 earthquake. We went from microquakes to tremors, back to microquakes, and all of a sudden we had a 3.0 earthquake. Usually they go from microquakes to tremors to earthquakes. Not this time. We went from microquakes to full-blown earthquake. Okay? Stronghurst, Illinois. This is the northern part of the Pneumatic Fault. The Pneumatic Fault goes from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up to Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. Okay? From the Gulf of Mexico north, all the way to Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. Okay? This is what we're seeing. Okay? That's what we're seeing. Let's go down to Louisiana. DeRidder, Louisiana. Look at this. This is further south, isn't it? What are we seeing? Actually, for the most part of the morning, nothing. These zigzag lines don't mean squat. This is called abstract. When you see these tiny zigzag lines, it's abstract. Normal seismographs normal seismograms would show straight lines or occasionally a ripple effect, but never zigzag lines like this, okay? But we're seeing earthquakes here nonetheless, okay? After 7:33 this morning, 2.7, 2.8 earthquake on the blue line on the left-hand side. We come down here to the green line. This is 7:50, I want to say 7:56 this morning. Another 3.0 earthquake. We see tremor buildup, and then we see a secondary wave happen where we go down to minor earthquakes and tremors. It all happens within about 45, 50 seconds. 3.0 earthquake here. And we can see other tremors and minor earthquakes here. A minor earthquake on the red line just beneath that. Okay? This would be approximately 8:28 a.m. this morning. Minor, probably 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. All the rest of this is just tremors here. Tremors in abstract. It's sad that the agency does this stuff. They don't want to admit when there's issues at all. This afternoon, earthquakes continued here. Again, it continued with tremors first. It got down here to 2:19, 2:20 p.m. this afternoon, and all of a sudden, for about 45 seconds, we had 3.0 earthquake activity. 3.0 shaking for about 45 seconds. Then it immediately died off, or we're not seeing it because all the abstract is here. All the zigzaggy lines here. Then the next activity starts at approximately 4:59 p.m. this afternoon. 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. And then it continues after that to be minor earthquakes and then just tremors again. Okay? This is DeRidder, Louisiana. So we have activity on the far south side of the New Madrid Fault and going as far north as Illinois, and we don't have any reports of anything in Indiana because Southern Indiana University and Evansville didn't report anything. Didn't report anything at all. And sometimes we'll see some activity in Ohio. But I don't think that earthquake in Ohio had anything to do with the New Madrid Fault. Okay? That earthquake that appeared on the USGS map, I don't believe had anything to do with the New Madrid Fault. Okay? All right, let me look here. I want to go back to Missouri. Missouri is also the center of the New Madrid Fault. This is Barker Cemetery. Barker Cemetery hardly had anything here 5 years ago at all. Microquakes at best. Then a couple years later we had some minor tremors. Nothing more than minor tremors. Then about a year and a half ago we had some minor earthquakes. 2.0 earthquakes, nothing more. Now we're seeing 2.7, 2.8 earthquakes. 2.7, 2.8 earthquakes here at Barker Cemetery, Missouri. Incredible. Again, we've seen that evolution of quakes here. That's why I believe we're going to have a major earthquake here sometime in the next 2.5 years. Okay? It's incredible here. It really is. Let's look at Barker Cemetery this afternoon. Right there. Like I said, all we have here are tremors until we get down here to 1:13 p.m. this afternoon, we have a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. And then the next seismic sequence here, that's probably a 2.6, 2.7, is after 3:18 this afternoon. And after that, we drop down here to 3:30 on the left-hand side, and over here we have 3:40, another 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. Then after 4 p.m. on the black line here. Now we're over here at 4:10 p.m. Another 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. Okay? Barker Cemetery. Again, just 2 years ago, we just barely had tremors. Then we had 2.0 earthquakes, nothing more. The evolution of seismic events continues here. It continues to get larger and larger. And in just a minute, I'm going to explain why. Okay? I want to go over to Guam, Missouri here. Look at this. Here we're seeing tremors. Tremors turning into minor earthquakes, 2.0, 2.1 earthquakes here. But nothing more than that. Nothing more than that. Guam, Missouri this morning. Let's look at Guam, Missouri this afternoon. Look at this, guys. We have tremors here, and after excuse me, after 2:55 this afternoon, all of a sudden the tremors went to 2.0 earthquakes, and then subsided again. Then after 2:30 this afternoon over on the left-hand side, we get all the way over here, 2:19 p.m. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It's on the blue line, so the blue line over on the left-hand side is 2:30. So we get over here to 2:39. 2:39, 2.5, 2.7 earthquakes. This sequence lasted 3 minutes. Okay? Guam, Missouri, the center of the new matter fault. Why are they not showing anything in Guam, Missouri? They showed one minor earthquake over in Blytheville, Arkansas. Why are they not showing something in Missouri? Still the center part of the new matter fault. Inquiring minds want to know, don't we? We should know. Now, Marston, Missouri. The reason I'm showing you Marston, Missouri is because USGS has been telling us about tremors and minor earthquakes in Marston, Missouri for this past week. This is nothing but tremors here. 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 tremors here at best. And USGS is not mentioning anything here. Yet, officially, once in a while we might have seen 1.2 tremors here. But these tremor sequences last a long time, don't they? Long duration tremors here. Why? The new Madrid fault is shaking. The new Madrid fault is shaking. It's moving. This is the center of the new Madrid fault, ladies and gentlemen. The center of the new Madrid fault. Let me show you something else. Braggadocio, Missouri, look at this. If you think I'm joking here, I'm not. I'm not joking at all. Look at these earthquakes. These are minor tremors going into full-blown minor earthquakes and larger. Look at that. It starts off at midnight last night. It starts off at midnight last night and goes to 9:30 this morning. Actually, 9:15 this morning. Then it dies off to nothing but microquakes. Look at all this activity. This is the center of the pneumatic fault, guys. Braggadocio, Missouri. Don Patoga says, Crayola on steroids. Demon Catman says, get your wrapping paper here. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The center of the pneumatic fault is moving, guys. It's moving big time. It's moving big time. This is exactly why I'm telling you I believe that the pneumatic fault is going to move in a huge way sometime in the next 2 years. 2 years. I don't think it's going to go any further than that. I want to show you an earthquake in Portageville, Missouri. Look at this. Why did the USGS and the other agencies turn off the seismograph? Why did they turn off the seismograph before midnight last night? Before midnight last night, they turned it off. Why? What are they hiding here? What are they cotton picking hiding here? They did not turn the seismograph on again until 7:07 a.m. this morning. 7:07 a.m. this morning they turned it back on. Why? What are they hiding here? What are they hiding here? What kind of earthquakes did we have here early this morning? Or even late last night? This is Portageville, Missouri. Over on the right-hand side. Over on the right-hand side after 8:14, almost 8:15 this morning. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. Then, after 8:30 on the left-hand side, we come over here at 8:35, and we have another 3.0 small earthquake. 3.0 earthquake happened for about 10 seconds. Then it died off to tremors, and then died off. It died off to a minor earthquake, and then died off to tremors after that. Okay? Then the next earthquake happens here after 10:03 a.m. this morning. Starts off with tremors at 10:02, and then all heck breaks loose with 3.0 activity. At least 3.0 activity. Again, they cut off the top and they cut off the bottom of this sequence, so we don't know how strong this earthquake was. They're hiding information again. This earthquake sequence lasted over 2.5 minutes. This 3.0 plus earthquake sequence lasted 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes. Then it dies off to nothing more than tremors. What are they hiding here? Portageville, Missouri, guys. The center of the pneumatic fault. This is where we're going to see the 7.5 to 8.0 earthquake take place. Missouri, guys. Missouri. Now, I'm going to take you over to the east side of the pneumatic fault. Okay? I want to take you over to Tiptonville, Tiptonville, Tennessee this afternoon. Absolutely nothing happened this morning at all, unless they're hiding the seismic activity. completely hiding it. Tiptonville Correctional Center, okay? This is the Federal Northwest Correctional Center here in Tiptonville, Tennessee. Nothing but tremors here. Nothing but tremors and microquakes here. That's it. Let's take you over to Ridgely, Tennessee. Both these locations are right on the eastern side of the New Madrid Fault. Look at this. Prior to 6 a.m. this morning, all we had were microquakes. And actually, probably nothing more than that. All we have here is zigzag lines, called abstract again. Abstract. Then over here, just prior to 6 a.m., all we had here are tremors. Then the tremors got larger, didn't they? Tremors got larger. Here in the center blue here, this would be 10:40 a.m. this morning. These are minor earthquakes. Here in this blue area, the center lower side here are minor earthquakes. 2.0, 2.3 at best. Okay? Then over here on the left-hand side, this would be 10:40, I want to say 10:47, 10:48 this morning. Okay? All of a sudden, out of nowhere, we went from tremors to 3.0 earthquakes. Tremors to 3.0 earthquakes. This particular sequence lasted a full 60 seconds. Then it dies off for another 60 seconds and gets going again. 10:59.5 a.m. this morning. 3.0 sequence. This sequence continued after 11 a.m. this morning on the left-hand side. Okay? 3.0 to 3.2 earthquakes. 3.0, 3.2 earthquakes. Why in heck did USGS not show this in Ridgely, Tennessee today? They should have. They have reported minor earthquakes here in Ridgely, Tennessee before. Why are they not showing 3.0 earthquakes here in Tennessee today? Why? This is on the lower south side of the New Madrid Fault, Tennessee. Why are they not showing this? Heidi Petrick is asking, would it be possible for all faults to go off simultaneously? I've got a good answer for that. When the Cascadia subduction zone goes, they're telling us it could be a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. That seismic energy will start up in the North Pacific Northwest. It'll go north to Alaska. It'll come down south to northern Mexico, and will go across the entire continent. Across the entire continent. We don't know how long it will shake. It's going to be a substantial shake earthquake. It may last a long time. Hours, probably. Yes, there will be times when we will get substantial earthquakes all going at the same time. Is it going to be magnitude 10 or magnitude 9 earthquake all the way across the United States, all the way up to northern Alaska, and all the way down to southern Mexico? No, it's not. The seismic activity will get less and less the further it gets away from the main shock. It'll get less and less, but I don't think it's going to be less than a 5.0 large earthquake. I think it's probably going to stay in the 6 to 7 magnitude area. That's going to shake all the way south to northern Mexico and all the way across the entire continent, Canada and the United States, across the entire continent. Okay? That's what's going to happen. There'll be massive shaking, massive damage, maximum massive damage all the way across the continent. By the time the shaking hits the East Coast, it's probably going to be at least a 5.0 earthquake when it hits the East Coast. Large shaking, guys. And that's going to probably happen within the next 5 years, because we keep seeing the earthquake sequences get larger and larger and larger. Okay? Richard is asking, are there any faults that could be put out of magnitude 15? I doubt it. I've talked to scientists and professors since I was in college. That question's come up many times. The answer has always been they doubt it. Anything's possible. Anything's possible. That kind of shaking would shake the entire globe. That kind of shaking would shake the entire globe. That's happened before. The entire earth shook. The Bible talks about it. The Bible talks about it. Is it going to happen again? Possibly. Possibly. Do I think that the Cascadia could hit a magnitude 15? No. It'll be a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. And then the tsunami is going to go all across the Pacific Basin. It's going to start over in the Pacific Northwest, then it's going to go across the entire Pacific Basin to Alaska, out to Japan, Hawaii, probably as far south as Indonesia and Australia. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Nobody knows how far south the tsunami got back in 1700. Nobody knows that. We know it got to Japan because the Japanese people have records of it. Richard, that was a great question. Thank you. That was a great question. Diane is asking, is it possible for an earthquake in New Madrid to trigger one in California? Again, this answer is pretty simple. The New Madrid fault is somewhat on the center part of the United States. What has happened here? Let me take this down. Let me take this seismogram down. What has happened? When the New Madrid fault starts up, it's going to probably be an 8.0 earthquake, maybe larger. But the shaking's going to go east and west. The shaking's going to go east and west. The shaking was felt the last time all the way up into Washington, D.C. It rang church bells all the way up into Washington, D.C. It's going to go all the way to the coast. It's very possible that the shaking could go all the way to the west coast as well. We don't know. We don't know. We have no records of that. We have no records of that. Could it trigger an earthquake in California? Yes. It could absolutely trigger an earthquake out west. We have a great big huge earthquake fault that runs north and south through the western part of the country. It's called the Western Continental Divide, the Rocky Mountains. It's very possible the Rockies could shake. If it gets out to California, the San Andreas could shake. And any of the other associated faults out there. It's very possible. SagePup says the early 1800s New Madrid earthquake caused damage in Charleston, South Carolina. It did. And I fully expect that to happen again. We've already seen seismic energy in Texas. We've seen seismic energy in Texas. Let me show you something. When I came across here from Utah to North Carolina, I went through Amarillo, Texas. I told you that the afternoon I got to Amarillo, I was in my hotel room, and I don't remember what hotel it was, but I was in my hotel room that afternoon, about 4 p.m. And we had a minor earthquake there. The floor shook, the desk shook, and I shook, and my dogs also shook. My dogs went crazy. They'd never been in an earthquake before. Actually, they had in Salt Lake, but it was just a small earthquake then. And they were on the bed. My dogs went crazy when the earth shook beneath their feet. Holly and Crystal really yapped then. This morning, Amarillo, Texas, 10:16 a.m. this morning, 2.7 earthquake. 2.7 in Amarillo. Again, USGS said nothing about this quake on the map. Not a thing. As you can see, there's some other tremors here before and after that quake. Then, approximately, almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. At 11:38 this morning, this was a 1.6, 1.7 tremor on the blue line down here at the bottom. 11:37, 11:38 this morning. A tremor. That was this morning in Amarillo, Texas. Let me show you this afternoon here in Amarillo. This is tremor activity this afternoon. Okay? Yes, we have earthquakes here in Amarillo, Texas. Now let's go over to eastern Texas. I've shown you before in Nacogdoches, Texas, where we've had earthquakes. Look at this. These are just tremors. Nothing more than just minor tremors, building up to maybe 1.5, 1.6 tremors here. 4 of them. 4 of them. Let me show you this afternoon. Look at this. We went from 4 minor tremors this afternoon over here to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1:50, actually 1:47 p.m. this afternoon on the green line. All of a sudden we have a 2.02.1 earthquake. And then a few seconds later, another one. All the rest of this is tremor activity here. Nacogdoches, Texas. Yes, we've had full-blown earthquakes here in Nacogdoches before. We've had 2.5 earthquakes here in Nacogdoches, Texas, on the eastern side of Texas. I've shown them on this very program, not today, but previously. Okay? Earthquakes do happen in Texas. I've shown you earthquakes over in Stanton, Texas. I've shown you earthquakes because of the oil fields. I don't think this earthquake in Nacogdoches is because of oil. I don't think this has anything to do with oil here. I think it doesn't have anything to do with that. Let's go over and take a quick look at the East Coast. Okay? I want to show you this. And this is important. This is Calhoun, Georgia. Calhoun, Georgia. Here we're seeing a minor earthquake here, and this one happened after 6:31 a.m. this morning. 6:31 a.m. this morning. That's Georgia. That's Georgia. How about King, North Carolina? A town of 300 people in northeastern North Carolina. Look at this. Should you be concerned about this if you live in North Carolina? Yes. The answer is absolutely a resounding yes. Look what happened this morning. After 9 a.m. We go over here to 9:10 a.m. 2.5 earthquake. Before that, it was just tremors. Then we had more tremors. Then all of a sudden, we had a 3.0 earthquake sequence. 3.0 earthquake sequence off and on for almost 30 seconds. Then we had minor earthquakes, 2.8, 2.9. 2.0, then tremors after that. This entire sequence lasted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes. 7 minutes. The 3.0 small earthquake sequence lasted about 30 seconds tops. Then, after 11:30 this morning, 11:36 this morning, we had tremors all that sequence time after 11:45 this morning. And out here at 11:36 this morning, the tremors built up, didn't they? 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. Lasted a full minute. Lasted a full minute. Then we had a secondary wave that lasted 2.5 minutes. King, North Carolina. This afternoon we had nothing but tremors here in King, North Carolina. Interesting, huh? It absolutely is. Let's go over to Roper, North Carolina. Look at this. This is also northeastern North Carolina. Look what we have here. This is 8:15 this morning on the red line. Yes, it started before that. It started with tremors at about 8:12 a.m. this morning. It continued over here on the right and continued on the left-hand side here with 3.0 earthquake sequences here. Now, a couple of these may have been larger than that because it looks like they topped and the bottom off as well. They topped it off and bottomed it off as well. But it's at least a 3.0 earthquake here. Okay? It started off at 8:16, 8:17. Then it dies off for a few seconds and starts again. Okay? Why is USGS not showing this in North Carolina? Inquiring minds want to know. I do. I live here. I live here. How about Roper, North Carolina? Look at this. Okay, I just showed you this one. Sorry. Okay, this was this afternoon. Yes, we had 2 3.0 earthquakes here. One at 2:16 this afternoon, another at 2:19 this afternoon, and another after 3, I want to say what, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3:07 p.m. this afternoon. Roper, North Carolina. USGS didn't even say anything about this. Richard Smith is saying 3.5 earthquake in Salta, Argentina. I'll bet you they don't even have it on the USGS map. They're not even reporting the 1.6 in northern Italy, are they? No. Heaven's sakes, no. This is what's happening. This is in Rolla, North Carolina here. How about Savannah, Georgia? Look at this. Tremor activity all day long this morning. All day long this morning. Savannah, Georgia this afternoon. Look at these earthquakes this afternoon. Okay? 2:54, actually it's more than that. 2:57, 2:58 this afternoon. 3.0 earthquakes. They start off with tremors. Then it build up 1.6, 1.8, 2.0, and then we have 3.0 earthquakes here. Savannah, Georgia. How about Blacksburg, South Carolina this morning? Look at this. We have gibberish here. Again, we have a bunch of abstract. But we look through the abstract and we see tremors and earthquakes here. Tremors and earthquakes. Earthquake started after midnight last night. About 8:11, or excuse me, 8:11. At 12:11 a.m. this morning. Then more earthquakes after 8 a.m. this morning. Start up with 2.6, 2.7, then 2 3.0s in a row. On the black line here near the bottom, this is about 11:08 this morning. Let me look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. 11:09 a.m. this morning. Another 3.0 earthquake. That's crazy. Blacksburg, South Carolina. Did you know something? I should say, do you want to know something? This happens to be Kings Mountain, South Carolina. This is a volcano. This is a volcano. Real quick, let's go over to Virginia, north of where I live. Corbin, Virginia this morning. Tremors. What's causing all these earthquakes on the East Coast? The Atlantic Plate. Remember me saying for the last few years that the Atlantic Plate is expanding? Where the Atlantic Ocean is, the Atlantic Plate is expanding. It's pushing Africa and Europe eastward. It's pushing the North American continent, including Canada, the U.S., and northern Mexico, in a southwesterly direction. That's what's causing all these earthquakes on the East Coast. That's what's happening. This is Corbin, Virginia. This is Corbin, Virginia this afternoon. While we have one minor earthquake at 2.0 this afternoon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at 12:07 this afternoon, a 2.0 earthquake. All the rest of these are tremors here. They're all tremors. How about Mineral, Virginia? Look at this. This is a 2.8 earthquake here. 2.8 earthquake. This happened after 6:19 a.m. this morning. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake this morning. Mineral, Virginia. Yes, we are getting earthquakes, guys. Tremors this afternoon in Mineral, Virginia. It's all over, guys. It's all over. Minor earthquakes here. We see earthquakes in New Jersey. This past week, USGS showed us 2.7, 2.8 earthquakes in New Jersey, Connecticut. Two years ago, we had a 5.1 earthquake over in Massachusetts, Boston. Good old Boston, Massachusetts. It's happening, guys, all over the United States, all over the world, all over Canada. I didn't even get to talk about Canada tonight, but there's earthquakes on the east coast of Canada. Bigger earthquakes on the west coast of Canada, British Columbia. Happening all the time, every day. Every day, guys. And the longer it keeps happening, the stronger they're going to get. The longer it keeps happening, the stronger they're going to get. Promise you. Promise you. Do you have any questions about anything we talked about? Richard Smith says, earthquakes all around me in Nova Scotia. You better believe it is. Oh, yes. Earthquakes everywhere, guys. I love you guys. You guys are my brothers and sisters, and you're seeing it happen where you live. That's why I spent so much time tonight to show you everything. Now, I did not show you earthquakes in England. So far, we have no earthquakes or tremors in England, but it does happen. We have some tremors in southern Sweden, southern Norway, and we have a 2.2 earthquake over in Finland, central Finland. They're happening. Back in the 70s when I was in Scandinavia, we did not hear of any earthquakes whatsoever. None. And now we are. Now we are. Demon Catman, thanks for that. Demon Catman's here in the chat. Ron loves cards and letters, and so does my wife. You can send cards and parcels and letters over to our address here at 104 North Green Street, Box 105. Morganton, North Carolina. The zip code is 28655. We'd love to see it. Okay? We got one small package, again, from S. Nort this past week. That's it. We'd love to see cards and letters. We used to get cards and letters all the time. We haven't got any anymore. Now, it doesn't increase. Come March, I'm going to cancel the post box. And I'll give people our personal address after that. Yes, we'd like to get cards and letters. We'd love it. If you guys want to help support us that way, you can send a check or a cash inside your letter or your envelope or your card and send it through the mail. It happens all the time. We've had that happen. Down here in the program description, at the top of the program description, just below this video today, we have our email address. Right below that, we have it so you can join here and join memberships here on EMA, on YouTube. You also can send us cash or money through our PayPal and through our Venmo. You can do that as well as help contribute to our donations here to keep this program on the air. We'd greatly appreciate that a lot. Carol and I would greatly appreciate that a lot. Do you guys have any questions? As Don Patogi just put up in the chat, your questions are always important. There are no bad questions, except ones that didn't get asked. I love you guys. Now, I want to share something with you that I found quite some time ago. I leave you with a devotional every evening. I love to do that because I believe in God. I love our Savior. I love our Savior very much. I'm going out to Hebrews chapter 8. I'm going to start with verse 5. Who serve unto the example and shadow of heavenly things, as Moses was admonished of God when he was about to make the tabernacle. For see, saith he, that thou make all things according to the pattern shewed thee in the mount. All things are made in a pattern shown to Moses by God. But now hath he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is a mediator of a better covenant. During the past couple of years, we talked about covenants, promises between us and the Lord. He is a mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. But finding fault with them, he saith, Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Not according to the covenant I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith the Lord. This is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws in their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for all shall know me, from the least to the greatest. For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their iniquities will I remember no more. In that he saith, A new covenant he hath made the first old. Now that which decayeth and waxeth old is ready to vanish away. The Lord is making new covenants with us every day. We make promises with the Lord for a reason. The Lord wants to make promises with us, and he keeps his promises. Do any of us keep our promises to the Lord? I do. I keep my promises to you. I keep my promises with the Lord as well. I believe in truth. I believe in the Lord's righteousness here on this earth. I'm going to go and do the things which the Lord hath commanded me. For I know that the Lord giveth no commandments unto the children of men, save he prepare a way for them that they might accomplish the thing which he hath commanded them. The Lord gives us promises and gives us a way to accomplish those things. Brothers and sisters, this is the week of Thanksgiving. I'm asking you to seriously think with your families. Sit down and think with your families and come up with covenants that you want to make with the Lord. Make personally with the Lord and together as a family. Making promises with your family together. Promising, covenanting with the Lord to do what he's asking us to do will draw you closer together. Brothers and sisters, this week begins what I want to call the trilogy of holidays: Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, the trilogy of holidays. Now is the time to make it right with the Lord. Now is the time to do it. Brothers and sisters, this week, consider what you want to make a promise to the Lord. Consider how the Lord is blessing you, how the Lord is going to continue to bless you and lift you up. I promise if you do this, you will be blessed exceedingly. I promise you that, even in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Brothers and sisters, I love you very much. I appreciate all of you who belong to the Emergency Management Associates family. Those of you that have membership in our program here on YouTube. Yes, occasionally we've had members-only meetings. Those are going to continue. After Thanksgiving this weekend, I think I'm going to call a members-only meeting on Saturday to have fun and talk and enjoy each other, unless something major happens. In that case, I'll have everybody back here together. But I want to have a members-only meeting to have fun, get to know each other better, to ask questions and laugh and giggle. Brothers and sisters, I love you very much. I love each and every one of our mods here. Thank you all for being here and keeping this program straight. Yeah, you guys keep this program straight. You brothers and sisters are awesome, and I love you very much. Brothers and sisters, we'll be back here tomorrow evening, same time, same station, sometime between 6 and 7 p.m. Tuesday evening, unless something happens. If something happens between now and then, we'll be back here, back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available, tonight or in the morning. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow evening. I love you all. May God bless you. May God be with you this day and always. God bless you. I love you always. God be with you until we meet again. We will see you on the other side. Have a good night, everybody. Much love.